Hey Scorpio, welcome to Gemini season. I have the windows open, and so if you can hear background noise, that's why. It's very clear this month that it was very deep. Your eclipse, the eclipse in your sign just last week, about a week ago, was very deep for many. And what it did for people is going to be magic. Some people don't appreciate what you have to say or what you have to offer right then and there. But anyone who knows you or understands you or feels your vibe gets it. And I think that's all you really need to know more than ever, because I think at this point your very nature is catching up with you in a way where you're even seeing where you could be possibly competitive with yourself, or where you're so receptive that you have many different opportunities, whether it's romantically for some. For most of you, I feel like this is romantically, and for others of you, it's an opportunity money-wise, and things are changing. And it may not seem like maybe at first the opportunity of a lifetime. So I think it's best that what it's saying here is to not make any too sudden decisions. Kind of just let things come, let things flow in. There's no need to decide right now. You can control the current for the moment, but just know that Gemini season will eventually ask you to dive into many different areas, or just try it out and experience it, no matter what it is. So your experience could also be you deciding not to. That's obviously your free will and up to you. Though it's very clear that you have 3 pages. You have many opportunities, and for some of you, you are content where you are. For some of you, you find yourself able to know that the way that you work and the way that you run and the way that you want to run is to be able to not be so directly involved all the time that things can't run smoothly without you looking away, right? But it seems like all these different people are around, maybe trying to influence you, but they're all directed towards this 4 of Swords, and you'll see that in the next part, which will be in a link below on Patreon. That'll be the second part when we look through the cards. So I think more than ever, Gemini season might be this reflection of how when you're just doing what you normally do, whether it's dying and being reborn again, or finding the depth and utilizing it, and people kind of see it, they notice it about you. So whether you've felt that way or not, whenever they notice, they won't be afraid to directly come to you with those opportunities. You might make you feel really good. It might fluff your ego a little bit. More than anything, it may make you realize something that you didn't see before. That fourth sword on the bottom. Something that might feel like it's cutting you deep. And yet, it's only just scratching the surface, which is how confident you can be about whatever decision you decide to make. Because this ultimately is about you. Regardless of how many people, whether it's relationships or jobs, for most of you, this could be both. It's just because you're being yourself, because you're being efficient, because you know how much you care, because you care, so you put into thought how this will affect other people. And for some of you, making those decisions are even more important, because you know that if it's gonna cut, you gotta just do it. You just gotta do it. Just gotta go for it. Gemini knows that very well too. It's something that you guys have in in relation to one another. I think you find this even more confidence, yet unsettling moment in your life to be something that you find towards the end of the month that you're grateful for. You're grateful, and when you're able to find that with someone with so much power and capability and magnetism for whether it's the right quote unquote or wrong thing, you are understanding something so much deeper, something that when you're able to process it, I think people, when they're around you, they're able to even process those things just as well, because your energy brings it out in people. Bottom of the deck is the Devil and the Hangman. We're going to use those two as well. It's a very sure sign that you have something within your structure so innately. And when you apply this understanding of gratitude and understanding that even though you have security maybe where you are, ultimately nothing's truly secure. And that's what this Taurus, or Scorpio eclipse axis is showing people, especially because you two have so much to do with the body. Every sign does, but you two specifically, being that it's the sexual organs, which is different for both female and male, and then trans as well, and how we all go through that in such a unique way. Even though we all have hormones, we all have testosterone, but we go through it all in our own unique way. And that's something that I think more than anyone else, you're coming to understand that part of you. And I think that's what Taurus brings out in everyone, is understanding those bodily parts of each sign. And so you, the Hermit and the Hangman, both relating to Virgo, which is the digestion, is like you're learning to digest this part, which is so good for your material gains, which is so good for wherever you feel like things are out of control for you. And the external is something you kind of just have to wait for at this time, that you've done all of the external work, and now it's that internal understanding that yes, this could inflate your ego, yes, this could feel good, yes, you can feel so successful, yet so unsettled at the same time. That's something that if you can come to understand that that is the alchemization process kind of that we go through from October to December, is this solidifying through the winter where things break down. That as you approach Virgo season, which is like the premonitions to the fall, the autumn season, as we enter Virgo season, you feel like whatever maybe you sacrificed or gave certain things up for was worth it. That you have to decide now. I know it's kind of sucks, but the cards are like, you kind of have to decide now. Regardless if you know it's going to be worth it or not, you kind of just have to trust your decision and trust where you're going and trust the long term, to trust that what's happening next is this purification of whatever desires that have kept you too attached to an outcome in this external world. Beautiful. I only wanted one card, and here we have another major arcana. So you have Virgo, Capricorn, and Cancer, which Cancer and Capricorn were the axes in the eclipses a couple years ago, and they were there for a while, but they're in axis to each other. So throughout the summer, it's going to be extremely fertile. Bottom of the deck is Aries. We just came out of Taurus, which we were in Aries right before, but you might find this connection through the part of you that is able to be receptive to this month. It's not about so much of, acting right away, but you will have decisions to make throughout the course of the month. And I think whatever you feel most confident and yet so at ease with, so content with, is what you need to go towards. You are leaving comfortability, and it's okay to be content without being comfortable. Remember that. they go hand in hand, but it can also look different. You may feel wherever you're going next, you find more contentness, even though it is asking you to evolve or change in some kind of way, become less attached possibly. And understanding that the best, something I learned about this card recently is that with the hands behind his back, the best is yet to come, even though, quote unquote, the mob was after him. Everyone, that this, whatever you brought to the environment that you seem to be in, you might have gotten attacked. You may have gotten kind of, he's being hung. Yet, the outcome of that for you on the other side of just this one place or this one specific situation in your life or this attachment, you're entering a phase where you're working with life. You're understanding something very Cancerian, which I was going to do the Cancer video. It was between you and Cancer next, and I don't know, I just went for you guys, so it's really interesting. Maybe you should watch the Cancer season when it comes out, or if you want to. That throughout the course of the next few months, you will find yourself in this place of understanding this being attached and unattached and in and out of it so fluidly that you find what's really important to you, that you find wisdom. He wears stars on his crown, and also there's stars up at the top here, and he wears ancient hieroglyphs on his armor. So you're understanding something that is symbolic. It's symbolic to your path. It's symbolic to the road ahead. It's symbolic to your life. And by the time Cancer season comes around, you may realize what that is. But until then, it's about being in the mystery, because these major arcanas are saying that they are road signs in the dark. That what's to come, whatever you decide to do, there's still going to be that dark period. There's still going to be that period of this could work, this could not work. This could have been the best thing ever. This could have also just been another lesson. But I think for the most part, you understand more and more what is important to you, what actually matters in the moment, and how that this material success is only a part of the spiritual nature that you're also learning as well. It's so interesting going from the Hangman to the Chariot, when it's usually like in let me rephrase, because it's almost just like the Ten of Cups and the Six of Wands in another way, and I'll show that to you in the second part. Where you're at is okay, but then more insight comes, or you learn something about that place that you're in, and you still continuously want to move forward. You're still unsettled with what has to come, because you're not at the 10 yet, or you're not exactly where you want to be yet, but there's this security coming up within you, the security of learning when to shift and change, when to alter direction, that fluidity between your psyche and the world around you, that you become the process and the destination. I know it's a little poetic for you, a little poetry for you, but I think if you can understand that in a way that's helpful for you, regardless of who offers you whatever love or opportunity, your decision is coming from the connection between your psyche and maybe a little more ease. That through the depth, even though it can feel hard, when you actually go through it, there's an ease. Why? Just as Taurus knows that when you take care of the details, it helps so much in the long run. It helps things run so much smoother, even though it's a little bit more time consuming at first. In my opinion, in order to deeply heal, it doesn't have to take an excessive amount of time. It has to do with how willing you are to be open about feeling not only protected by your own energy and whoever you deem to be God or the universe or whatever your spirituality, religion could be, or if you even believe in that, it's still this conversation that you're having with the extremities around you. And you may find yourself in constant conversation with that part of you this month, and it's only going to strengthen what's yet to come. And the only validation you need is what you know you bring to the table, and then deciding how you want to export that, how you want to act upon it, what is choosing to be revealed to you at this time is how, when you are willing to be receptive, how easy it is, especially for you. It may feel like a risk, but your vulnerability is probably your strength. Probably, it is your strength. You get it. That's something that Cancers can learn from you being the older of the water signs, is that you want to know what the emotions and how they can transform us and how they are an asset as opposed to just utilizing the raw energy. You understand the raw and you make it so it can look accessible even though it's not always, and it can make it look easy even though it's not. And that's the amazingness that you are. But you also know that when things are hard, you can make them also look hard. So it's just that vulnerability that you have, and maybe transparency that, reeks through you. It doesn't have to reek, let's say. It's your aroma. Your transparency is kind of your aroma. And Gemini season is being very transparent with you and where you're at, and wherever you're at is what's going to be reflected to you, especially this month. Okay, Scorpio, I will see you next month.